called the dynamic dish, because every week or so I'll pick something that's in sports that I want to talk about, that may relate to social justice. It may relate to some of the things that are going on within the community, the world at large, that ties into sports. And you can go out to the Weekly Sports Magazine and catch some of the previous dishes. I think you'll like them. I don't have any particular one that I choose. It's just what I feel. All right? So don't get offended, of course. You have your opinion. I have mine. If you want to voice your opinion, you can certainly call the show, or you can get your own radio show. But in the meantime, in between time, let's talk a little bit about the dynamic dish. And I want to play just a little clip from, if you're familiar with Roland Martin, he has a show called News One that comes on every morning about 6 a.m. It's let's be realistic, it's news from the black perspective and commentary, which is a pretty darn good show. Roland Martin started at CNN. He got fired years ago. He does a show every day, and of course does some other things as well. So good for Roland Martin. It's a pretty good show, and he keeps it real, and we need more. And that's why black media is very, very important. Next segment, I'm going to talk a little bit more about black media, and it's not going to be sports. It's going to deal strictly with black media and why it's important. All right. So just be aware of that. This is kind of a public relations this hour. All right. So in the meantime, let's listen to what Samaria Rice had to say about LeBron James.
But you can at least put a shirt on or something. Some of the other athletes, some of them been saying something, some of them haven't. I think they should just make a statement. You know, I'm not asking nobody to, quit their job or anything, but make a statement for us black people out here.
So that's Samaria Rice. She is Tamir Rice's mother. If by now you haven't or are not familiar with the tragedy in Tamir Rice was a young 12-year-old child that was gunned down by two officers, one officer who pulled the trigger within 2 seconds, claiming that they were in fear for their life. Of course, you've seen the video where there was no way they could have been in fear for their life. The irony that I don't think many people are talking about with this particular case, and of course the DA clearly did not want a conviction. We've seen this over and over again with a lot of cases this year where there seems to be open season on African American people, not just black males, but black females as well, or people of color. Okay? So, but anyway, the one thing that people don't talk about in this case is, Ohio is an open carry state. So a police officer just can't roll up on you, and just because you have a gun and it's in plain view, and just shoot you down like a dog. But this is what they did to Tamir Rice. And this aspect was never mentioned by the DA, which makes no sense to me. All right? So here's another officer, and clearly, that old saying about you can indict a ham sandwich. Well, you can indict a ham sandwich, because that person that you're looking for an indictment against, he cannot present any evidence. It is totally the DA who runs the grand jury proceedings. It is a farce. It is a farce. But I didn't want to get into that, but this is part of the problem. So Tamir Rice was gunned down by police. It took over a year and a half, close to a year and a half, for them to even come back and say that they weren't going to do anything, which is crazy. So Samaria Rice would like for more of the athletes, including LeBron James, to make a protest. And to some extent, I understand what she's saying, but to single out LeBron James, I don't know if that's a good person to single out. Not because it would offend him, but of all the athletes that certainly seems to be concerned about what's going on socially is LeBron James. Okay? Now, there was another player, Andre Hawkins, who plays for the Cleveland Browns, who wore a protest shirt. And it amazes me that the police want Hawkins to issue an apology because he wore a shirt. Now, everybody that could see that video know that Samaria Rice should not have been killed. And this argument that, and I'm a little sick of these arguments about, oh, well, that black guy looked bigger than what he was. He was a 12-year-old kid. If you would have taken a moment to simply survey the situation, a moment, then you would have seen he was a 12-year-old kid. But you came out with your guns blazing. But I'm so sick of hearing these white cops saying that these kids are bigger. Remember Mike Brown? He might as well have said he was the Hulk. So they use this as a justification to claim that, oh, our kids are bigger than white kids. So they scare us. The big black boogeyman. It's a joke. But the point being is, I see and I understand her frustration. I can't say I've been there because I haven't. I've never had a child that was killed, let alone killed by police under these circumstances. But certainly I can feel her pain and all the other pain. But I think the obligation is more than just on LeBron James. LeBron James has proven. He's shown us that he is socially and politically conscious. It was LeBron James who was first to speak out about Daniel Sterling. Don't forget about that. Then everybody followed along. It was LeBron James and the Miami Heat who donned the hoodies for Trayvon Martin long before anyone else did. It was LeBron James who decided that he was going to send 100 inner city kids to college before anyone else did. That's saying he's socially conscious. So I think when you go out and you criticize LeBron, I don't think that's a good thing to do. Sure, would you love him to lead? But I think other athletes are going to have to get involved. Too many of these athletes and these entertainers, they grow up in our communities. We support them. You buy their little bootleg records out of their trunks. You go and support them at high school football and basketball games. You talk them up to your friends, and then many of them get up and leave the community and turn their backs. Look, I'm going to tell you something. Giving a turkey and buying folks stuff at Christmas is more to it than that. All right? We need to start teaching our people how to manage their money. We need to start teaching our people how to be more loving of one another and support one another. And the best people who can do that are people who are in the media, or at least the media allows you to be in. And see, when you're an athlete, they can't control you being in the media because everybody wants to see you. So when you've got that bully pulpit, what do you do with it? LeBron James has shown us what to do with it. Juxtapose Michael Jordan or Floyd Mayweather. Now, there are tons and tons of athletes out there who do fantastic things in their communities. Warren Dunn is one that you rarely hear about and has been doing this for decades. He buys a house for a single parent once a year. Part of his foundation. What you don't know about Warren Dunn, his mother was a police officer. She was killed in the line of duty. So athletes do great things. And it may not be good for their bottom lines in some cases. But LeBron James has shown us that he's going to stand for social justice. There are a lot of ways that you could have approached him. Because at this point, like he said, this is a lot bigger than him. It's a lot bigger than him. And if he's going to protest, he can't be the only one out there doing it every time. We need to call out all of these entertainers and athletes and say, hey, look, this is about you. This could have been you. This could have been your child. It's time to stand together. Wait, look, I've told you this and I've talked about this over and over again. We saw this in Missouri. And of course, I've been saying it for years. I don't want to say I'm a prophet on this, but if you want to change the dynamics of what's going on in this country, the only thing that affects what these people do is money. I just told you, over the next 14 years, the NCAA is going to get $18 billion for the national championship game and the Final Four. Our children are our number one resource. If we want to change what's going on in this country, I dare you to tell your children who plays for the university, I dare you to not watch those games. I dare you to tell your children not to play on a Saturday. I dare you. I dare you. And let's see how quickly things change. That's what it boils down to. You can't put the pressure on one person and expect that one person to carry the mantle. Okay? I have a saying. And I'm going to wrap this up here in just a moment. We're going to go out and take another time out here in a moment. But I have a saying here. And I've been out and worked in the community a lot. And there are a lot of times that the people out there in the community will use you up. They'll use all your resources. And then when you're down and out, they will not be there to help you. Okay? And quite often if you have more, they want more out of you. But then if you fall on bad times, they turn their nose up at you. I'm just going to be real with you. But I would tell people when I start getting involved in something and you want me to lead your thing, your event, your movement, or whatever the case may be, I give you the analogy of an arrow. There are 4 parts of the arrow, okay? There's the tip, there's the shaft, there's the feathers, and there's the notch. Okay? If I take that arrow tip and throw it at you, it's not going to do much damage. If I take the feathers, the only damage I can do with you with the feathers is tickle you to death. If I take the notch, well, that's not going to do anything either. Maybe I can take the shaft and whip you with it. Well, eventually, it's going to break. That's not going to do much damage. But if I put all 4 of them together, with the tip, with the notch, with the shaft, with the feathers, and I aim them with a bow and shoot it at you, I can kill you. So what's my point here? My point is this, that if the arrow doesn't have support from all the other components it needs to be effective, then it will not be effective. So if you want LeBron James to run point, then he needs us to line up behind him as the shaft, as the feathers, as the notch. And until other athletes do that, don't expect LeBron James to jump at every cause. That doesn't mean he doesn't care about them. I'm just simply saying that don't expect LeBron James to lead the charge in everything. There are a lot of other athletes that can do it. And when LeBron does it, then everybody else ought to be willing to join on. Not just the athletes themselves, but the fans, but the parents, but everybody. Because that's what's going to change the bigotry and the racism that is going on in this country today, is money. And that money includes spending money with black businesses like Joynet. And we're going to talk about that here in the next segment as well. So get off LeBron. He's doing his job. There are other athletes out there that aren't doing crap. There are other entertainers out there that aren't doing crap. There are other people out there that aren't doing crap. And what you say is, well, what can I do? Well, you can start by spending your money with a black business. Money talks, folks. That BS, you know what it does. Don't even walk up in this joint. I'll be back in a moment. You're listening to the Weekly Sports Magazine. on joinnetradio.com.
To donate $10 to assist a young father with college tuition.